Welcome to Renewed and Radiant Podcast. This is where we have the real and raw conversations. So if you're ready to rise into the woman you were created to be, you're in the right place. And together we can design a life you love. Today's episode is a personal one. It's not as clinical, not prescriptive. It's simply my story. I want to share my journey on hormone replacement therapy with you. Not because I believe that every woman needs it, but because I know how many women are quietly wondering if what they're experiencing is normal or if their body's just asking for deeper support. Now, last time I talked about the difference between bioidentical and synthetic hormones. The time before that, I talked about symptoms of your hormones being low, what to look for. This episode is more for the woman who is doing all the right things. Eating well, staying active, managing stress, showing up for her family and her calling, and yet still feels a little off. Maybe not broken, not falling apart, but just not fully herself. And if that's you, I want you to know you're not alone, and there's far more hope than you've been led to believe. So whether your symptoms are severe and you know that you need to do something about it right away, or if you're more like me and you went into perimenopause and menopause eating clean and exercising and doing mostly all the right things, but yet you feel a little bit off now, either way, I think you're going to find this very helpful today. So looking back, the signs didn't really hit me all at once. It was subtle. My energy wasn't what it had used to be. My sleep is where I really noticed it. It wasn't as restorative. I would wake up many times through the night when I normally didn't do that. So I really noticed it in my sleep. My emotions also felt a little louder, less predictable, I would say. And even my motivation, it just required more effort than it once did. And maybe the hardest part, I would say, is that I didn't feel myself. I didn't feel like I was myself. I was still functioning, still capable, still disciplined, and probably from the outside, everything looked fine. But inside, something just felt not quite right. And when you're a high functioning woman, you get very good at normalizing discomfort. So I told myself things like, it just must be the stress, or it's just a busy season, or this, I guess, is maybe aging. Maybe I have to settle somewhat for this. But deep down inside, I knew that this just wasn't alignment. This was some type of depletion. Here's something I want you to hear clearly. Women are often conditioned to accept hormone decline as a life sentence instead of a physiological transition. We're told, well, that's menopause, or, well, that's just the stage of life you're in, or this is normal for your age. But normal doesn't mean optimal. It doesn't mean that we have to live with it. It doesn't mean we need to settle for feeling like that. Your body doesn't suddenly malfunction at 40 or 50. It responds to the loss of hormone signals. The signals that once supported your brain, your metabolism, your mood, your sleep, your bones, and your heart. Now, I wasn't interested in numbing those symptoms or powering through them anymore. I wanted to understand what my body was asking for. So instead of ignoring it, I chose to get curious and dig in and see exactly what was happening. My journey did not begin with a prescription. It began with data. I chose, of course, to test my hormones, like I recommend every lady to do. Not to label myself, but to gain clarity on what was going on. And what those labs showed me gave me exactly what I needed to know. It showed me that everything I was feeling, I could see was the decline in estrogen. And it was a drop in progesterone, the shifts in testosterone, these patterns of stress also that explained my fatigue and the emotional changes. So for the first time, my symptoms made sense. This wasn't just some weakness. It wasn't, failure on my part. It was literally biology, what was going on inside of my body at that stage of my life. And when you understand biology, you can respond with precision instead of fear or just guessing. So here's something that may surprise you. I didn't start hormone replacement therapy because I was having extreme menopause symptoms. Because I went into perimenopause and menopause eating clean, keeping inflammation out of my body as much as possible, exercising, managing my stress, I didn't have debilitating symptoms the hot flashes. I wasn't miserable. I wasn't falling apart. Yes, I noticed changes and that things felt off, but my decision wasn't driven by symptom relief alone. I chose hormone replacement therapy because I understand what hormones do beyond how we feel day to day. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone don't just affect our comfort, our lifestyle, the hot flashes, the night sweats, the sleep, those types of things, but they also play a critical role in protecting our long-term health, especially our bones, our brain, and our heart. So when our hormones decline, bone loss actually accelerates. So you're losing more bone much more rapidly when you don't have those protective hormones, as well as cognitive protection weakens. So your brain is not as protected as it once was, and your cardiovascular risk increases. This is why women often, unless they're taking hormone replacement, can have severe bone loss, heart attacks, and brain decline. So my labs showed what was declining, even though my symptoms were relatively mild, and I understood what those declines could mean 10, 20, even 30 years down the road. So because of that, I wasn't willing to wait until damage occurred to try to take action. So my take on it is I'm choosing prevention, not crisis care. So yes, it is helping me to feel better. It's helping me to sleep better. That was one of the biggest things I noticed. My sleep is so calm. It's wonderful. I was getting a bit of hot, I don't even call it a flash, but a bit of hot flushes, I would call them. That's totally went away. I'm definitely, my energy has improved. I'm noticing I feel a little bit lighter, just better. But my main focus for taking it was prevention so that I don't risk heart attacks. I'm not losing bone mass like could happen, and I'm protecting my brain. So here's what many women don't realize, that by the time bone loss shows up on a scan, it's already been happening for many years. And by the time cognitive decline become noticeable, well, the foundation was laid much earlier. And by the time heart disease is diagnosed, most women die from heart attacks. They don't get caught in time. So it really is a death sentence. But by the time heart disease is diagnosed, hormone protection has often been gone for decades. Hormones are not just about comfort, they're about preservation. This wasn't about anti-aging. Yes, I'm all for anti-aging. I love it. But that wasn't just my reason for doing it. This was about aging well. And I didn't choose hormone replacement therapy out of fear. I chose it out of wisdom and prevention. I had a really good conversation with my doctor about HRT. It was a bit of a journey. They don't always understand why you want it and why you want certain ones, but that's okay. It's just about having a conversation. And when I started hormone replacement therapy, the goal wasn't to chase a feeling. The changes were subtle, steady, and grounding. Like I said, my sleep improved dramatically. I noticed that right away. I feel like my emotional regulation got a bit better. My energy became more stable. I do believe that my mental clarity sharpened again. And one of the biggest shifts was I felt regulated. Like I was able to control my nervous system better. I could finally exhale, is a nice way of putting it. Now, hormone replacement didn't make me someone new. It didn't make me lose any weight. It didn't, cause all miracle things to happen to me, but it did give me access to who I already was. It allowed my body to function the way it was designed to function, with support instead of strain. If you take anything else from this episode, let it be this, that hormone replacement therapy is not failure. It's not weakness. It's not giving up. It's just one tool. And it's not the only tool, but it is a powerful one when it is used appropriately. And again, remember to listen to the other previous podcasts if you haven't, because there's some important information in there about dosing and what to ask your doctor for. And you know what? You don't get extra credit for suffering. I feel like some ladies think they're extra strong if they can just push through and suffer through the night sweats and the hot flashes and all of that. You know what? You're making yourself miserable, and it's probably having an effect on the people around you too. And you don't deserve to feel like that. You deserve to feel at home and in your body and feel amazing at every stage of our lives. So if you're listening to this and quietly thinking, this sounds like me, I want you to know that you don't have to navigate this alone. This is exactly why I created my custom lead coaching, to guide women through the testing, the interpretation, and fully personalized plans rooted in clarity and precision. No guessing, no band-aids, and it is not a one-size-fits-all. So I hope you have found this helpful of why I chose to do hormone replacement therapy. Now, what I specifically am doing is, it's been about 3 weeks for me, and I went to my doctor and explained to him that I felt like I would like to get on estrogen and progesterone, explained to him the reasons why, what my numbers looked like, and that I definitely wanted the bioidentical hormones. So his response was, it sounds like you've done all the research, you know what you're talking about. Excellent. Okay, go for it. And so I told him what I wanted, bioidentical, and he nodded, and we went from there. So, and he sent it off to my pharmacist, and I went to my pharmacist, picked up my prescription, took it home, and then I looked at it and realized that it was not bioidentical. That my doctor nodded when I said I wanted bioidentical hormones. And let me clarify, this is not my normal doctor. So if you've heard me speak of my doctor and you know his name, he's excellent. This was not my usual doctor that I was working with. This was a different doctor that was filling in for him. So he nodded, and like everything was great, but he didn't do what I asked. What he sent was not a bioidentical version of the hormones. And I explained in the other previous video of why you want bioidentical. And I'm not saying every woman should take hormone replacement, but I'm saying if you choose to take hormone replacement, make sure it is the bioidentical form. And watch that video if you want to know why. Anyways, I called my doctor, had a conversation with him, and he did prescribe the bioidentical versions. So we're all good. We're all good on that. So what I take is a nighttime progesterone. It is a little pill, a little round circle pill. I take it right before I go to bed. Progesterone is the calming hormone. So you will find that that probably helps you sleep better. If you're having trouble sleeping at night, it helps you just be a little bit more calm and feel like on edge a lot. It really helps with that. But also it's important to take progesterone and estrogen. A lot of times we need those two together, because if you're taking estrogen without progesterone, then you can get an imbalance and then have symptoms that seem like high estrogen. You don't actually have high estrogen. Your estrogen is in a good range, but because your progesterone is low, it looks like to your body and feels like to your body that you are having high estrogen. I'm a fan of taking both so that we have them balanced, because balance is very important as well. So I started myself on a low dose. There's no point to overdo it. I started on low dose. You can always work up if you need to. And then I also take an estrogen patch. There's a few reasons I like the estrogen patch versus a cream or vaginally taking it. Vaginally has a couple things. There's dosing, so you can make a mistake on your dose, as well as the cream. I actually had one lady tell me she was having all these symptoms when she was taking the estrogen. Well, as we talked, she's like, I could totally see myself doing this. She said that more is better, right? So instead of one twist, she would do two and put it on her, and that's not how it works with these hormones. More is not better. You need to work with what your body needs. So she was actually over-medicating herself on estrogen, which was giving her the high estrogen symptoms. Not good. So that's another reason why I don't care for the creams. The vaginal also, what can happen is when you have intercourse, your husband, when you have estrogen vaginally, gets a dose of the estrogen. His body probably doesn't need a dose of estrogen. So there's also that to keep in mind. All things for us that we can have a conversation about if you choose to go into the coaching program. So I chose a patch, which I change it twice a week, and it's about this big, and it's clear. I don't even know what's there. It's recommended with the patch to put it on your around your abdomen. So on one side of your abdomen, and then switch locations each time. So basically the 4 quadrants. Between my abdomen and my glutes is where I put it. Once left, once right, once left glute, once right glute. And I change it Because it is a patch and it's on your skin is underneath there, it could tend to get irritated if you always put it on the same spot. So make sure if you choose to do that, you choose to move it around. So ladies, like I said, I've told you and I've told you the benefits I've seen in the last few weeks. So far, it's been great. I recommend it. Nothing crazy for me, no big changes. But again, I also wasn't having any big symptoms. So if this is something you're interested in, of course, shoot me a message. I would love to chat with you about testing, about the Elite Coaching Program, and let's get you feeling amazing, because really you do not have to suffer. You do not, and you deserve to feel fantastic, because we're all working to design a life we love, right? So have an amazing week. I will talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in today. If this episode spoke to you even in the smallest way, would you do me a quick favor? Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Leave a like or a review, because it truly helps the message reach more women who need it. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, share this episode with her. You never know. Your share might be the spark that changes her entire season. I'm grateful you're here, walking this journey of renewal and radiance with me. And until next time, keep choosing to design a life you love.